Okay, so hello everyone. Uh, I hope you're doing great. I hope you're doing fine. So wherever you are. This time we will be talking about the relevance and appropriateness in the use of technology in teaching and learning. This is the continuation of what Miss Magtangov have discussed. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. So relevance and appropriateness in the use of technology in teaching and learning. By Joanna May Magtangov. So go check it out if you haven't seen it already. Before we start, let me introduce myself. So I am John Prince Elorde. You can call me Sir Prince or Elorde or whatever you want. So, and I'm going to discuss the the remaining relevance and appropriateness in the use of technology in teaching and learning in terms of selecting instructional materials. So we as a future educator, it is very important that we must select the appropriate and relevant instructional materials when we are teaching, especially we are now living here in the 21st century. So alam talaga natin na yung pamumuhay natin is affected by these modern technologies. So as a teacher, as a future educator, we must adapt those kind of things. We must learn how to use it in the fullest, those kind of technologies, and how can we use those technologies in our teaching to in order for us to be more effective in front of our students. So here we will be focusing on uh, selecting instructional materials. Okay, so you ready? Let's go. Let's proceed. As I have said earlier, Miss Magtangov have already discussed the first part of the relevance and appropriateness of uh, using technology. So she already discussed the first and the second. And now for my part, I'm going to discuss the 3 to 6. 3 to 6 remaining part of the relevance and appropriateness of using modern technology. Okay, so in selecting instructional materials. So number 3. So wait, let me just okay, there you go. Okay, so number 3, principle of cost. So the goal is to substitute must be considered first or find other materials if the materials you are using is quite expensive. Now here, take notice of this. If you are selecting instructional materials, make sure that you must choose those not expensive, or should I say like more like cheaper price of instructional materials kasi it is very important to us kasi hindi naman lahat tayo is alam niyo yun, para-parehas ng estado sa buhay. So we must choose wisely, and I'm really sure that there's a lot of instructional materials that is not too pricey, not too expensive. So we must substitute those instructional materials by that, selecting new materials, but in a what in a way that we can afford those kind of things. Kasi in teaching, hindi naman payaman yan eh. The most important thing is you got the materials, you got the instructional materials, and at the same time you can provide it for yourself for the sake of your students, but not too pricey. Because whenever the students get curious about those kind of materials and they're planning to buy it, they buy it for themselves for their own reference. It might be hassle for them because they might find out that that instructional materials that you are using is expensive. So not all students can afford those kind of things. Okay, so that is the principle of cost. It must be affordable at the same time the content still remains. Okay, so we can compare it in like sa sabihin na natin like sa ukay. Do you know ukay? Do you know ukay, right? So in ukay, we are buying those clothes, the shoes, and other necessities that we want, but in a cheaper price, right? But take a notice of this. If you compare the dress or the clothes or the shoes or anything that we buy in ukay compared to the original clothes that we buy, there's no difference, right? The only difference is in original or the pricey clothes or necessities that we buy is a little bit pricey compared to ukay. It is way more cheaper, but at the same time, the quality still remains, right? It's still clothes. Damit pa rin naman siya. Do you get the point? So same goes here with principle of cost. Okay? So make sure that the materials that you are using uh, is not too pricey. It is affordable. Okay? So that is the principle of cost. Okay, do you understand? Wala mga nakasagot. Okay, so next one. Okay, now here we have the principle of interest. So instructional materials must stimulate curiosity or satisfy the learner's need to know. Now here, take a notice of this. In teaching, we as a teacher, our goal is to catch the attention of our students, right? So we can do that if we are lacking of some materials in teaching, especially this one, the instructional materials. Now here we are living in modern era here in 21st century. Of course, you are expected as a teacher, you are expected to use these modern technologies and use it to the fullest in order to catch your students attention. Kasi hindi naman lahat ng students natin pare-parehas ng sabihin natin ng intelligence. Hindi pare-parehas ng understanding level. There's some students that we can call like slow learners, fast learners, or sabi natin mid learners. So those kind of students, we must deal with them at the same time without getting, like being biased to them with like favoritism. Remove that. Remove that kind of mindset as a teacher. We don't promote those kind of things, the favoritism to students, especially if that student is like sabi nating matalino. No favoritism in part of our teacher. Okay, so here, balik tayo. Instructional materials must stimulate curiosity or satisfy the learner's need to know. Kasi in instructional materials, we must catch the attention of our students. For example, we are using technology. We must ensure that if we use that kind of materials, that technology, we must ensure that the students' attention, we can catch it. We can satisfy their needs, their curiosity, especially if come to the point that they ask some questions, especially children, right? In part of the children, they always getting curious of some things that they don't know. So if you are using that kind of materials and your student asks you about it and you don't know anything about it, or should I say you don't know how to use it to the fullest, you as a teacher will be getting down. Kasi we teachers, we are expected to be more knowledgeable compared to our students. Kasi inside the classroom, teachers are the most competitive person, right? Because we are the one who are processing knowledge. We are the one who's inserting knowledge into our students' mind. Especially children, their mind is, we can compare it to like a blank, like an empty bottle. Okay, so we are the one, we as the teacher, we are the one who is filling those empty bottles in order for them to have the content. Okay? The knowledge, the ideas, the information that they need to know for their studies. So, here in principle of interest, we must catch their attention. Okay? So, kasi we can teach the students if they are not interested in our way of teaching. So, it is very important to catch the students' attention first before you proceed to your teaching, because if you focus on, like, should I say na parang ang goal mo lang is matapos mo na yung report mo, ay matapos mo na yung pagtuturo mo, na I think you're not doing your part as a teacher. You're doing for the sake of your job. Okay? So, that's the principle of interest. Okay, next. Sorry, I have a cold anyway. Okay, so number 5, we have principle of organization and balance. So, instructional materials must be well organized and well balanced in content. So, it is connected in the number 3, the principle of cost. Well, of course, if we are selecting instructional materials, we must ensure that it is well organized. Not just the the appearance, also the content, the that materials that we are using, uh, the content that we are using in that materials, it is the one that will help us as a teacher in order to teach properly the students. Kasi if we are using the instructional materials that like some sort parang display lang, wala namang content, wala rin. The students will not be interested in that kind of teaching. Kasi parang nagbigay ka lang ng information tapos parang hindi mo siya in-explain. So it was like that. So the principle of organization and balance will point out to the teacher that if you are using instructional materials, make sure that it is well organized, well balanced, and especially the content that you are providing to your students is andun. Itutumbok mo. Kasi ayun yung kailangan ng mga students natin in order for them to learn. Okay, so last one we have. Okay, so in selecting instructional materials, we have here number 6, the last one. We have other considerations. So like environmental factors, dynamic variables. So ano po yung mga example nun? So we have here size of class. As what I have said earlier, kasi you as a teacher, you are dealing a lot of students. Hindi naman like papasok ka sa school na iisa lang yung students, dalawa sa 10, right? So, you're expected like more than 40, 30, mga ganun na students or size of class. So, you are dealing those students that kind of size of class. You're dealing those kind of students. So, you as a teacher, ilagay mo na sa isip mo that those students have different weaknesses, have different strengths. Okay? And also, they have different style of learning. They have they have multiple intelligence. So those students have those different kind of things. It was like you are using, so you as a teacher, you must use differentiated instruction kasi you're dealing with a lot of students. And those students are not the same. So you must deal, especially like this, the size of class, the attitudes. You are dealing also with their behavior. So those kind of students, hindi sila pare-parehas. So if you are using these instructional materials, you select these instructional materials, but it is not suitable for one student only. It might be suitable for like, let's say 5 to 10 students, but for the rest of the students, it is not. So, in selecting instructional materials, you must also consider this kind of things, especially the size of class. Remember, sa teacher, hindi lang isa yung tuturuan mo, marami yan. And sa dami ng students na yan, they also have different styles of learning. So you must deal with it. Kasi as a teacher, isa yun sa ating mga responsibilities. We have to deal those kind of things. We have to figure out, we have to, kung kinakailangan, mag-equip ka ng different styles of teaching, different approach, different techniques, gawin mo. Kasi as a teacher, it is our responsibility in order for the students to learn. And also, since we serve as their second parent, we have also to deal with their behavior and attitudes. Kasi it is for the sake of their learning. So we, as their leader, as their role model, we have to be the one to them. Kasi we're leading them, we're teaching them. And since we are leading and teaching them, we also need to correct the wrong behavior, the wrong attitudes, and also if we need to the time to double our hard work in order for them to learn, that is great. That's thumbs up for our for the sake of the teachers. Kasi if you teach, you're not like just doing it for the sake of your salary. No. Kasi as a teacher, it is not all about salary. It is all about your desire, your passion to teach the students. So, we as teacher, we serve as an inspiration for our students. Okay? So, we must do our part. We must teach them in this kind of things. Okay? So, meron pa ba tayong titira? Okay, so wala. So, that's all. And I hope you learned something from me. So, once again, this is John Prince Elorde. And peace. I'm out. Bye-bye.